Sometimes a story doesn't completely fit together and we find ourselves looking at a film with plot holes in it. They don't tend to ruin a film, but they're worth looking into. So today we're taking a look at 10 Disney plot holes that still make annoyingly little sense. Before we get started, make sure to click the red button to subscribe for more great movie content. Also, can you guess what movie this is from the emoji? Let us know in the comments section below. The answer will be revealed at the end of the video, so stay tuned.
You wouldn't kill your old uncle.
The Lion King. What is it with Disney villains? It's starting to feel like they don't have any organizational skills. After Scar kills Mufasa, he convinces the cub that the death was his fault, and tells him to leave the kingdom and run away. After he does so, he sends the hyenas out after to kill him too. Scar would have made the entire thing far easier on himself if he had just killed Simba then and there. Sure, he wouldn't have gotten that very fun few minutes of manipulating Simba into believing that he killed his father and not Scar, but in the long run, he wouldn't have had to worry about basically anything after that happened. He returns to the Pride as their new leader, shocking the Pride with the news that not only was Mufasa dead, but his own son killed him. He lied that they both died in the stampede, but had he killed Simba, no one would have been any wiser. But Simba got to come back, and when he does, he gets Scar to confess to killing Mufasa and takes his throne back. And what did Scar get? He got killed by hyenas after trying to blame them for everything. Keeping Simba alive was a huge oversight.
I can't stay here another minute.
Oh no, wait, please wait.
Beauty and the Beast. The Beast's castle is less than a day away from Belle's village, through forest that looks like it's on flat enough ground to at least be visible from that side of the village. Its location also means that the royal family ruled over the town. We know they had to have at some point, or why would there be a full castle complete with servants and a prince on their doorstep? And that makes us wonder how no one noticed that the entire royal family, including its servants, apparently vanished into thin air. And also that the castle fell into increasing ruin. The live-action film fixes this issue by making it so that the town was also cursed by the Enchantress, and everyone just forgot about them. If this is the case in the animated film too, it doesn't mention the curse. In all honesty, the whole setup with the castle and the royal family doesn't add up, even if you ignore the stuff with the curse. How did the castle fall apart that much in a decade? Were people still paying taxes to the royal family? If you're wondering how we know they did, it was pre-revolutionary France. They were. Maybe they noticed no one was collecting their taxes and thought they'd just leave it. Sleeping Beauty. Maleficent is quite possibly the most evil fairy out there, and she's got the brains to go with it. Unfortunately, most of her minions don't. After 16 years of them trying and failing to find Aurora, it turns out that they had been looking for a baby the entire time and not a teenager. We're talking 16 years here, not the 45 minutes or so that it adds up to in the film. And the whole time she's had her raven sidekick Diablo with her. He acts as her assistant and he's the only one other than her who ever seems even remotely competent. He also gets to boss around her other goons, and is the only one other than Maleficent to know anything about her plans. And when she sends him out, he finds Aurora straight away. Why did it take her an entire 16 years to decide it was worth getting out the big guns? You'd think it would be important enough to have him be the main guy on the job from the get-go. We can understand waiting a couple of years maybe, but a whole 16 years before you send out your best man seems excessive and a little stupid, especially for her.
Jafar! Jafar! Get a grip! Good grip.
Aladdin. Throughout Aladdin, Jafar is scheming to find ways to become the Sultan of Agrabah. He's the Grand Vizier to the actual Sultan, who he hypnotizes with his magical snake-headed staff. At the end of the film, he manages to steal the lamp and uses his first 2 wishes to make him the Sultan, and the world's most powerful sorcerer. He immediately begins to torture and humiliate Jasmine, the Sultan, Aladdin, and the genie with his newfound power. He also tries to get Jasmine to love and marry him. Ultimately, his power becomes his downfall, and when Aladdin points out the genie is more powerful than him, he wishes to be a genie and they trap him inside his lamp. While Genie is by far the most powerful, of the two, with Jafar being mostly a charlatan, he didn't actually need the genie and could have taken over all by himself. His staff has magical abilities. He uses it on the Sultan, and unless we're missing something, it's hardly a stretch to assume he could use it on other people too. He could have made the Sultan give him his throne or made Jasmine agree to marry him that way. Then he wouldn't have ended up in a lamp or been outsmarted. He could have just hypnotized Aladdin.
It's midnight.
Yes, so it is, but why?
Goodbye.
Cinderella. Cinderella is most famed for losing her glass slipper as she runs away from the ball at midnight. It's how the prince finds her and how she gets a much-deserved happy ending. We aren't gonna rag on the fact that both shoes remained intact after midnight and didn't disappear when the rest of the magic did. We can safely assume that to be the fairy godmother's doing. What we don't get about the glass slipper is how it came off at all. It's said a few times in the movie that the shoe is a perfect fit, like when she's apparently the only person in the entire kingdom to be able to get it onto her foot. Our only explanation for that is that she has feet far smaller than any other adult woman. So if it is such a perfect fit, how was it able to fall off in the first place? Maybe it needed to be changed to adequately fit. To make matters all the worse, on her wedding day, her shoe falls off on the same set of stairs. And it isn't even the same pair of shoes. Maybe it's a non-issue after all, and this set of stairs just steals shoes. Or something to do with storytelling and us overthinking it.
A true hero. Great! Exactly how do you become a true hero?
Hercules. After being made mortal by the formula given to him by pain and panic as a baby, Hercules can't return to Mount Olympus and become a god again until he becomes a true hero. As a teenager, he trains to be a hero with the help of the hero training satyr Phil, and at the end of the movie, he puts it to good use. He breaks into the underworld, exchanges his soul for Meg's, and then punches Hades into the river Styx and saves them both. He's welcomed back to Mount Olympus as a hero, having finally committed an act of heroism. Except that wasn't his first. By this point, he'd already saved the lives of thousands of people in Thebes when he risked his life to battle the Hydra. He battled a Cyclops without his super strength. He saved all the gods and led a fight against the Titans. All this came before he put an end to Hades' plans and saved Meg. Apparently, there was a strangely specific clause in heroism that means it only counts if you save someone you love. But wouldn't it technically be more heroic if you don't have that sort of emotional bias? Like saving an entire town and all its people just because it's the right thing to do? Tarzan. After Tarzan got close to the humans, he still refused to show them to the gorillas. He'd fallen for Jane, and the villainous hunter Clayton manipulated his emotions, saying Jane could stay longer if she saw them. Tarzan hadn't had contact with humans before, so his naive behavior was forgivable. He didn't know Clayton wanted to hunt gorillas for the black market, or that he would betray them, so he took them all to the gorillas. It led to Clayton and his men attacking the gorillas and killing the silverback Kerchak. Kerchak was a lot more aware as far as humans were concerned. He'd objected to Kala adopting Tarzan in the first place, saying he was dangerous, so he'd probably come across someone like Clayton before. He was furious that Tarzan had had contact with humans after he told him not to, and that he put them all in danger by bringing the humans to them. Despite this, he doesn't move them. Clayton had already pointed his gun at them. It wasn't like they hadn't moved before. They moved when they first heard gunshots in the human camp, and it was when they were moving that Kala had found and adopted Tarzan. So why not this time? We just don't understand, and it hurts our hearts.
I'll try to help you find that prince.
The Little Mermaid. When the Little Mermaid becomes human and Eric takes her back to his palace, Sebastian the Crab tags along to keep her safe, but he finds himself separated from her. He ends up in the palace's kitchens where the eccentric French chef chases him with a bunch of knives and a mallet among other things and attempts to cook him. At the time, Ariel is at dinner with the prince, and she's eating seafood. We have to wonder, aren't most of her friends fish? Or are some friends and some fish? Knowing these sea creatures can talk, we always presumed merpeople wouldn't eat them. Our minds are full of all sorts of questions, and we're very confused. We've never thought too much about the diet of a mermaid before, and thinking about it in The Little Mermaid at least, we're pretty horrified. Sebastian almost ended up on her plate. That's crazy. Speaking of Sebastian, is no one else confused by the fact that he's Jamaican? We're not bashing it or anything, it's just that The Little Mermaid is set in Denmark, and that is an awful long way for one crab to travel. Were there no jobs for a crab composer in Jamaica? Now we're considering the economy of underwater cities. Time to move on.
You are a toy!
Toy Story. Buzz Lightyear is a central character in the Toy Story franchise, but he's also the cause of a pretty big issue, especially in the first film. Buzz genuinely believes that he's a space ranger. It seems to be a fault with all the Buzz Lightyear toys, as in the second film a newer model believes that he and Buzz are both space rangers and traps Buzz in a box. Buzz only realizes that he's a toy towards the end of the first movie, causing a bit of an existential crisis. All of the other toys are aware that they're toys from the get-go. They behave like toys, including using freezing when humans are around because apparently they were aware of the living toy trope in horror films. It makes sense when they do it, it's toy behavior. But why does Buzz do it? If he doesn't believe that he's a toy, he wouldn't believe that he'd need to freeze. If anything, he'd probably be trying to rescue Andy from who knows what, and trying to talk to everyone. It's a toy fault that could blow the cover of millions of toys. We get that in terms of movie making, it's easier because it's hard to make two contradicting ideas make sense, but it still doesn't make sense. Frozen. By the end of Frozen, Hans has proved himself to be the film's true bad guy. To us, at least. The people of Arendelle have absolutely no clue what's been going on behind closed doors with their royal family. This leads us onto the first plot hole. Do the people of Arendelle actually know what they want? When Anna punches Hans at the end of the movie, she does so to applause, which is weird considering the fact that as far as the townspeople know, he's the good guy. Their queen froze the kingdom and then left, and he stayed behind, making sure people were fed and warm. We're sure gossip is started to spread by now, but that point still stands. This opens up the second part of the plot hole. The people went back to supporting Elsa the minute she returned, despite being terrified that she was a monster because of her powers when she fled. If the real Middle Ages have taught us anything, it's that you don't get over fears of witches that quickly. Maybe they just love the adorable sisters as much as we do. Or maybe they don't know what they want because, you know, plot hole. That being said, she did make them an ice rink, so that's all we've got time for today. Are there any Disney plot holes that annoy you? Let us know in the comment section below. Remember to like this video and click the subscribe button for more great content. And the movie emoji was? Did you get it right? Let us know. From us at Screen Rant, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.